Hi, and welcome back to Ruth Reacts to Books. I'm your host, Ruxie Ruth McGouth. And today we're going to be looking at Kathy Reichs' book, Break No Bones. So this book, I gave it 4 stars, and this book is basically, it's about Temperance Brennan. So those of you who may have seen the show Bones, this is kind of what, this is the series that show is loosely based off of. Interestingly enough, I believe it must be when she wrote this book that show was first starting to be produced, possibly, because at the very end of this book, she has an epilogue where she talks about how the show has been created now, and it's kind of about Temperance Brennan earlier in her life. However, it certainly is not about the same exact person, because there are so many differences between this person and the person in the show. I have to say, it's kind of, maybe for those of us who like things to make sense and be continuous, we could say alternate reality Temperance Brennan in a different environment. Because some of the key things that tell me it's not the same exact person is, in the show, she has a daughter named Christine that she has with the character of the detective, and in this book, she's getting divorced. She has a daughter named Katie. Her husband's an attorney. She does have a person that's similar to the guy that she dates in the show Bones, who is a detective in Canada. So actually, this is like the 7th or 8th book in the series, actually, of the Bones series by Kathy Reichs, who is actually in real life a forensic anthropologist. This is a picture of her. So the series, I started reading it because I liked the show and I was interested in seeing what the books were like. And as I mentioned, they're very, very different. In this book, she has a grown daughter named Katie, or in this series, she has a grown daughter named Katie. She is a professor at a South Carolina university, and so she's a professor of anthropology, and then she also travels during her off times from the school to Canada, where she works with the Canadian Forensic Laboratory on helping solve crimes. And so a lot of the books take her to Canada, then they maybe take her around the world, et cetera, on different adventures. Definitely very different than the episodic Bones cases where they're working with the FBI. However, she does have, as I mentioned, a friend who is on the Canadian police force who often is working with her to solve some of these crimes. So go ahead and read you the inside cover of this particular book, and then I'll tell you what I liked about it. Following the tremendous success of Crossbones, Kathy Reichs explores another high-profile topic in Break No Bones, a case that lands forensic anthropologist Temperance Brennan in the middle of a gruesome international scheme. Summoned to South Carolina to fill in for a negligent colleague, Tempe is struck teaching a lackluster archaeology field course in the ruins of a Native American burial ground on the Charleston shore. But when Tempe stumbles upon a fresh skeleton among the ancient bones, her old friend Emma Russo, the local coroner, persuades her to stay on and help with the investigation. When Emma reveals a disturbing secret, it becomes more important than ever for Tempe to help her friend close the case. The body count begins to climb. An unidentified man is found hanging from a tree deep in the woods. Another corpse shows up in a barrel. There are mysterious nicks on the bones in several bodies and signs of strangulation. Tempe follows the trail to a free street clinic with a belligerent staff, a suspicious doctor, and a donor who is a charismatic televangelist. Clues abound in this most unlikely place as Tempe uses her unique knowledge and skills to build her case, even as the local sheriff remains dubious and her own life is threatened. Tempe's love life is also complicated. Ryan, her current flame, has come down to visit her from Montreal, and Pete, her former husband, is investigating the disappearance of a local woman, and he and Tempe are staying in the same borrowed beach house. Ryan and Pete compete for her attentions, and Tempe finds herself more distracted by feelings for both men than she expected. Break No Bones is a smart, taut thriller featuring the kind of high-stakes crime that makes the headlines every week. Reichs, the inspiration for the hit Fox TV show Bones, is writing at the top of her form, and Tempe has never been more compelling. I would agree. I think this is one of the better books. I don't dislike any of the books. I think I've probably given them 3 or 4 stars for the entire series. Sometimes I feel like they can be a bit dull. They're not as exciting as you might expect mystery stories or murder mystery stories to be, but this one was really pretty good. It had a lot of intrigue. There was lots of twists and turns and things that you were trying to figure out, like little pieces that you were trying to put together throughout the book. So I really liked that. You know, it was fun to get to know her husband or her ex-husband. I'm not quite clear on whether they're actually divorced in this book a little more. We've met him in a couple of the other books kind of here and there as he came in and out, but very briefly. We know Ryan, the detective, a little bit more. But it was really good. And the story was also very good and interesting. And, you know, at the end of it, you know, she does this great work and they figure it out. And it was really good. And it was really a good trail that was created as she slowly moved through and kind of figured out more and more things. And they did a good job with some cliffhangers at the end of chapters. You know, I was reading and like there are times when you have to go to bed and so you have to stop reading. And so definitely liked the book. If this book was a food, it would be A Picnic on the Beach. So they're staying in a beach house in this story, which sounds amazing, except for, you know, the murders and everything. But besides that little fact, A Picnic on the Beach, that's what this book would be if it was a food. I highly recommend it. And I hope everyone is having a wonderful week and keep reading.